1 month in being 50 years old. And it's not that I didn't know that No Filter wasn't coming back. It was always coming back. But I didn't feel it would be coming back or think it would be coming back under these circumstances. Part of me wanted to just disappear and be quiet. But then that's not who I am. I've always spoken up. And so here I am with No Filter Season 2. I refuse to let the ignorant and the territorial win. So this week will be a special series of No Filter. I am sick and saddened, just like all of you out there. But most importantly, I feel positive that we are going to get the change that we've been wanting for so many hundreds of years, and to be treated the way we should be treated, with equal rights, without injustice. I'm so honored to introduce our first guest, Opal Tometi, one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter. And Opal's been quarantining with me for a week. I'm so happy and thrilled you could do this.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been an amazing experience and a great opportunity to get to know you more.
First, we should say how we met. How did we meet, Opal?
I feel like first, we know we have a lot of mutual friends.
We have a lot of mutual friends.
And obviously a mutual passion for Africa
Absolutely.
and all things African. But also social media.
Social media.
The gram.
Yeah, we have to say it. We met over Instagram, and even though we were both in Ghana at the same time, this new part, Christmas, New Year, which was the 400th years of return.
Right, the year of return.
Which was a very important turnout, actually.
Yeah.
It was a lot of, I met a lot of people like Alfonso there. It was very, I want to just get to it because, I mean, let's start from the beginning.
Yes.
How did you and your co-founders, which your other co-founders are?
So Alicia Garza in Oakland, California, and Patrice Cullors, who's in Los Angeles. And I, when we started, was in Brooklyn, New York.
So did you go to school together? How did you come together?
So we actually know each other because we're all community organizers. We've all been committed to social justice for many, many years. I was doing some form of organizing and activism in high school. Same thing with Patrice, same thing with Alicia. But we were part of our own organizations in different parts of the country, and we're working on different issues. And the thing is, like, we know that these issues that we're even talking about today didn't happen overnight. We've been working on so many challenges over the years, and so we are part of a community that's been part of this tradition of community organizing, like so many other civil rights and human rights leaders that have come before us, and we found ourselves in that tradition. And so, because we were already community organizing, when we first heard that George Zimmerman was acquitted for the murder of Trayvon Martin, which, I mean, I hope people remember this.
Absolutely.
And I know you remember this, right? So Trayvon Martin, 17-year-old boy, Sanford, Florida, is going back to his own home, with his Skittles, Arizona iced tea, he has a hoodie on, and he's walking in his neighborhood, and he's stalked and he's killed by George Zimmerman. And first of all, that story in and of itself, even for it to get the attention that it needed to get George Zimmerman, first of all, arrested, because he wasn't immediately arrested. He wasn't.
How long? I can't even remember. How long was it?
I believe it was some weeks. It took some while to get the attention that it deserves, similar to things that are happening now. So this isn't brand new. This is something that we've been experiencing.
This is just same circumstance, different person.
Right. So George Zimmerman finally goes to trial, but it feels as though Trayvon Martin is on trial for his own murder. And it was deeply disturbing because these people essentially were trying to assassinate a teenage boy's character. It was, I mean, it made my stomach...
To deflect on what really happened.
So it was really hard to watch. And for me, I have 2 younger brothers, and my youngest brother at the time was 14. And so I could not imagine that he would see this trial play out on television, on news, night after night.
What future hope does it give?
Exactly. my godkids, all the young people.
I have a brother, and I worry about that too. As a young black man out in the world,
right.
you know, I mean, I said, okay, I can handle it, but I worry about him all the time.
Right. And it's young black boys, girls, women, aunties, you name it.
So tell me, how did the three of you come to start and get the name of your organization?
So this is actually a really...
Do you call it an organization?
So yeah, it's a network. We have a network as well as the platform that we created. And then of course, it also became synonymous with the larger movement, right? So the larger movement for racial justice is largely now known as Black Lives Matter, right? Okay. So it's kind of phenomenal. But it all began because the acquittal of George Zimmerman kind of set us off, right? We knew we needed to do something, myself, Alicia, Patrice, in our respective ways and for different reasons. But we were already working other kinds of jobs. I was doing immigrant rights work. Alicia was doing work with folks in the employment place and in the workplace, and then Patrice was working with folks in prisons. And so we were all doing something already, but we knew that this moment required us to step up in a completely different way. And we knew that the entire world was watching what was going on, and we just could not sit idly by while this was the end, essentially the end of the story, right? A lot of times you hear a verdict and you think, that's it, no, nothing else can be done. But to us, that was not an option.
That was the beginning.
That was just the beginning.
Right.
So Alicia is such a great writer, and she wrote this beautiful love note on Facebook, and it ended with something like, Black people, I love you, I love us, our lives matter. And then Patrice saw that on Facebook, and this is 7 years ago, right? So she, we do some hashtags then on Facebook, but not as often, but she decided, no, I'm gonna put a hashtag on it. So she puts hashtag, Black Lives Matter in the comments. And I see this, and I'm already doing some kind of Black organizing in my community, and I'm like, that's it. That it hit me in my spirit. It was so deep, but it was very.
But it really is what it is.
It was very clear.
Yeah,
it was
very clear.
Very, very clear. And I have a background in communications, right? My master's in communications. I saw it. It spoke to me. I reached out and called Alicia, and then said, hey, I'd love to partner with you on whatever this is. I'm not sure what we're even talking about doing, but let's do something really special. We know that people need to be organizing. We know that they need to be advocating for themselves and ensuring that this no longer happens in our communities. So I said, mind if I buy blacklivesmatter.com and Facebook page and Twitter? And she's like, let's do it. Let's roll this thing out. Let's make sure that more people hear this message. Yeah. And let's
How old are you now?
So I'm 35.
No. How old is Black Lives Matter?
Oh, so
you're a baby. I told you the other night. I'm 15 years older than you.
Can we edit that part out? Because I'm like,
I'm 15 years older. But tell me, how old is Black Lives Matter?
Okay, so Black Lives Matter is about to celebrate our 8th anniversary.
What day is it?
July 13th.
Oh.
Yeah, so right around the corner.
Yeah.
Right around the corner. Yeah. So we've been going for a while, right? And what's beautiful is now people are hearing about it again. It's like this second wave, if you will.
How do you feel with all, how do you feel with all that's happened in this past, Ahmaud was what, March or in February? So from the last 2.5 months, actually let's go from Brianna. Yeah. So early February, right?
Yeah.
So February, March, April, May, June. Without really the camera, we wouldn't have known some of them.
Some of them we wouldn't have known. Yeah. Video, technology, people being courageous enough to come forward and say, hey, I witnessed this thing happen, and here's the proof. Yeah. People are really stepping up and really standing for something right now. And it takes a lot of courage, but it's also the right thing to do. I wish it didn't take footage in some of these cases. Yeah. I wish that we didn't have to go through these lengths. And, I'll be quite honest, in the case of Breonna Taylor, those officers didn't even bother to complete
the form.
It's unconscionable.
Somebody. You said it was a false report.
Yeah, well, it was a police report, but they're supposed to complete it with details. And what you'll see is that there are many blank pages, many blank sections, as if nothing happened.
So where are these police now?
They have yet to be charged.
They've not been arrested at all?
Not at all. They're
So they're what? They're living in their homes?
They're living
with their families, walking the earth, walk just freely?
No real consequence, nothing of substance. This is a woman who was an EMT worker, right?
And
an essential worker.
She seemed very loved by her co-workers. And her mother looks really young, and just seeing her mother, just even with at George Floyd's funeral, and her mother put out a video that I saw a few weeks ago. I mean, it really must hurt to know that your child's life's been taken away, and there's no justice. It's incredible.
Not even a modicum of justice, like a sincere acknowledgement, no, apology, nothing. And nothing can really replace one's child, right?
Never.
So that's I think what is so significant about Black Lives Matter. We essentially said we're going to move away from just talking, when we want to talk about the individuals, right? We need to share, but we need to make sure that our system changes because
it's continuous. So right now we're fixed on police brutality, but for me, what Black Lives Matter stand for is there's so much. The reach is from here to the continent of Africa. It's so much. Because it matters in the job that you get, that you go for a job and you have the qualifications and you don't get it. Why? Because of the color of your skin. For me, this is, I never was someone that could handle that. I was not accepting it.
I know. Well, you were such a good...
It's like I'm not having it. I'm sorry. I feel that I could do that work. Then I deserve to have the chance like everybody else.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's why right now we're on this topic with the police, but it's more than that.
Absolutely more than that. And I think that's what I'm grateful that in this time, I believe people are beginning to understand that, right? So we see that people are not only taking to the street around police brutality, but they're saying, wait a minute, we need to change corporate culture. Wait a minute, we need to change fashion. Wait a minute, we need to, it's about all of these industries. It's about all our
We need to have our proper placement and seat at the table of the boards. And I've been saying that for a long time. It's not just when things come up, oh my God, let's scramble, let's get this person, that person, that person. No. It shouldn't be that way. And part of me, I work with Beth Ann in the Diversity Coalition, and Beth Ann's like a second mother to me. Beth Ann Hardison we're speaking about. But we did that to protect our girls in the industry of fashion. So, but why is it now that the jobs that do come up, that the description is you're going to be a diversity role? Why is that? Because I also feel like they're overqualified for that too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. No, I completely understand what you mean. And it's not about that, right? It's not just diversity for diversity's sake, but it's reflect the spectrum and the breadth of the society.
But then you also feel like if I don't take that diversity job, whatever title it is, diversity, that I'm not doing something for my people. So it's a catch-22 in a way.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are trying to navigate spaces and positions like that. And what's important is if you can, and if you feel that's your role, show up, but help to open the door for others.
Exactly what it's about. You have to open the door.
And it's not always easy, but finding your allies even within that space, because oftentimes there are allies who are like, we really ride for Naomi, we really ride for this person, and you find them and you ask them to come alongside you as you make the space bigger for others. And you're a great testament to that. You're
so
the queen.
What is the strategy for now that you have for Black Lives Matter and what you're all doing individually, but still under the unit of Black Lives Matter? What is the thing we can continue doing? Is it the protests?
So
what should we be doing?
Quite honestly, it's everything. I feel like if we knew the exact solution, we would have done that years ago. We wouldn't have even probably needed to create Black Lives Matter. But the truth is, we don't have all of the solutions in place, but we do have really clear ideas.
What
we
do you
have
want?
research.
What do you feel? What would you like to see happen?
So what we know we need right now is to resource and invest in Black communities. That is clear as day.
Education.
All of our systems, right? It's education, it's the healthcare system. There are so many ways in which Black communities have systematically for decades been disinvested, right? Public safety net was cut. We had laws that were essentially criminalizing people who were low income, so poor people, and making it more and more difficult for them to even join the formal economy. So there are a lot of challenges that we've had stacked up against us for
a long
quite some
time.
Yeah.
So, okay, there's two things I'm going to ask you.
Yes.
So, we're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
Not every child can do homeschooling, I've come to understand, because not every child or every family have a computer.
Yeah.
So those that don't have any way of having a computer, a simple computer, have not had any schooling for how many months?
It's a real problem. There are a number of challenges between schooling, between food, ensuring people are well taken care of, people accessing hospitals if they do end up feeling sick. There are a number of challenges having to wait, or who aren't being believed because of the color of their skin. There's a lot of discrimination we already know about that happens within our healthcare system, where Black people are oftentimes not believed. They're not given the same levels of medication or attention that they deserve. It's been happening, and so
but at least half of the healthcare workers are race. They're Black.
Yeah, a lot of healthcare workers. My mom is a nurse, right? And
my grandmothers were nurses.
Yeah, we know so many people of color who are essential workers, and that also is part of the challenge. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but in the U.S., we are acutely impacted by COVID-19. There are about 25,000 Black people who've died from COVID-19.
And that's the other thing I was going to say,
Right.
because of the low-income housing, the structure of apartments, air conditioning. There's so many things that they told us at the beginning. We have lost, it seemed to hit, because in the beginning we wasn't sure if it could hit our race. I heard so many things.
There were all sorts of rumors, but we know it wasn't true, but yes, it was being perpetrated.
Fact is, it did.
Yeah. Oh, it's hit in a major way.
And still is?
Yes, and still is. And so we have to stay vigilant. And I think what COVID-19 was showing us is that anti-Black racism is going on no matter what.
But this is why it was great that Michelle Obama had the teaching for being healthy, of obesity, how to take care of yourself if you have hypertension, high blood pressure, heart disease, and keep, trying not to be obese.
Yes.
This is why this program was so great,
So important.
which I heard was switched.
Well,
yes. So,
Yeah.
all these things is education.
Yeah, a lot of it is education, but then there's a lot that's structural.
Structural.
Right? We have to acknowledge that. We have systems that are quite literally set up to fail Black people, set up to hurt Black people. And I think that's what we're trying. We're trying to draw attention to all of this, because we're saying enough is enough. We can't fight case by case.
No.
It's a losing battle.
So this is what
look
I'm
at the data.
saying.
It's clearly a losing battle. Too many reports have come out.
So
that
what do you think?
demonstrate
Do you think it's possible as a race that we could be apologized to, where it's a law, where it so that it never happens again? Is it possible that we, like all other races out there in the world, like the Jewish, can we get the same apology? Can we get the same respect? I'm not even speaking about compensation, because the compensation for what they have done is unimaginable.
Yeah.
I couldn't even think of what that could be. But is it possible that we could be apologized to, that there could be a law that protects us, that this doesn't happen anymore?
Honestly, I think that is the bare minimum that should happen. Absolutely. We deserve an apology. We deserve compensation. We deserve our communities to be specifically invested in, right? So to ensure that we actually are on equitable playing field. Right now, we're not. We're starting at such a disadvantage. So, there are just so many times where people are talking about, this person should be here, or they if they just did X, Y, Z, and it's like, no, for generations, their families have been living either if it's in squalor, or they've had all sorts of, bricks thrown at their path or at their back during their lifetime. And so we do need real solutions. We need systemic solutions, and we need real investment in our communities. There's been a lot of conversation around what we do around policing, and we're saying, no, their budgets are over bloated. It's bananas right now. They have all the military grade equipment. We see them and what they're doing with protesters and beyond. And it's unconscionable that they would meet people who are essentially trying to say,
so you believe in strongly about defunding the police and putting the funds elsewhere?
Yes, absolutely. I absolutely believe that. We know where the resources can come from. We know that they exist. And the fact that healthcare workers don't have PPE and the police have all sorts
I couldn't believe that, because it's always that the healthcare workers, like, travel a lot. We travel a lot. Yes. But it's like, when you it's always that the bits of news I get is the people that are, they cut, always the cuts are to the healthcare workers, the nurses, the teachers.
To the teachers,
I'm
schools,
like,
they shut down so many schools in Chicago.
So it's always for me, the education is a must.
Yes,
it's
a
an absolute must.
It's a human right. Are you kidding me? It's a fundamental
right.
human right. Certain things just, you don't mess with them. You invest.
So what can you tell us, Opal? So are we now to continue protesting?
I think in some cases we will need to continue protesting. There's nothing quite like being in the street. Let's be honest. If
so
people
do you
did not
feel that America is going to become like France? Because people say, oh my God, in France there's a protest. There is, but do you feel like that's what America is going to become like now?
Well, it could, and I don't think it's a problem. I think if we think that's the only thing that's
peaceful.
Well, I mean, it's peaceful. What's been happening to us has been violence. So, but I get what you mean. We, Black Lives Matter as a movement, we're trying to stop a war on Black lives, essentially.
You're not here to promote violence. I want to get back clear. We've never been.
We've never done that. Never.
But I saw, and we've all seen these videos of the people that would come. And it's not us.
Well, there are a lot of people detracting.
Detracting, yes. So there will be protests, and obviously we want change. I'm not American, I can't vote, but I can definitely use my voice to bring awareness.
Please.
Change in the system of who's running your country.
And we have all sorts of policies that need to change in this country. So there are people who are part of our larger coalitions, like in the Movement for Black Lives, or partners at the NAACP and different organizations across the country, who are looking at every specific level that they can make change. And that's been really, really powerful and important to see, because there are different players in all of this. There are people who sit on the Board of Education, there are city councils, there's a mayor's council, there are all.
But do they have a voice?
Some of them do, and and they have a voice, and they have a responsibility in this time to use
that voice.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I agree with you.
That to me is fundamental. We need to make sure that this democracy works for everybody,
right?
And respects everybody, and people have the right to.
Can I read you something? Yeah. Because I read a story that I'm not sure exactly if it's the head of the NAACP, but I'll just say the NAACP organization. They said that they needed to rethink their own strategy because of Black Lives Matter has had such a bigger impact than they could have ever had. Mm-hmm. And they've been around since 1909 or something.
Yeah. Yes. So I know their president, know and love Derek. He's phenomenal, and I consider him a mentor, and he's been such a supporter.
But how does that make you feel?
Well, you know what it makes me feel is like, well, of course. And that's fine. I think everybody has to revisit their strategy. I mean, even ourselves, even myself.
I agree. Even in my business,
in my business, in my personal life, it's all about growth.
Yes.
It's all about evolution. It's all about taking stock of your strategies and whether or not you're being effective. And ultimately, it's not that we want one or two people to be right and that's all, and you're right and you get. No, we want to be effective.
Yeah.
We want things to change. And so if you realize that something isn't working, you change tactics.
Absolutely.
And that's essentially what Black Lives Matter did. We're like, okay, this thing continues to happen time and time again. Guess what? We're going to get more people involved by using social media. We're going to use these tools to mobilize more people, to activate them, to make sure that they know what's going on. And we're taking action online, but we know it's about our lives offline. It's about real people gathering together, being in community with each other, and enacting change at the local level, national level, and hopefully international as well. So it's a really powerful time. But I will say that from that.
What do you tell our Generation Z who's out there, who's really, it warms my heart to see that it's all nationalities, all races, that really this one they all feel.
Yeah.
And what do you tell them now? What's your word of wisdom that you want to leave us with?
My word of wisdom for them. First of all, I am in awe of everybody who's in action right now. People who are in motion and showing up in their different ways, and different people have different things to contribute. So first, I'd say, well done.
Yeah,
welcome,
really bravo.
And well done. Great work.
Brave,
courageous souls, and that's what this time requires. People of courage, people of conscience, who are connected deeply to their own sense of humanity and one another, and the possibility that we have. And I say, keep going. Yeah. We have been doing this. I have been involved in some kind of activism for 20 years.
This is your life's work, Opal. This is your life's work.
This is my purpose on this planet, and I'm grateful.
God bless you.
I'm grateful to be.
I'm so honored and happy that you could be here today, that we could do this and be with us. Thank God. We can have a hug because we've been in quarantine.
Yes.
So we can have a hug.
We can do this.
I'm really honored to have you, and God bless you and what you're doing. And if there's anything I can do, I cannot vote, but I'll do everything I can to help push the right to lose my awareness, whatever I can do. And also just the last note about Africa. I know how much you love Africa, and it's in your heritage.
Right. Right.
Just tell us about your heritage.
Yeah, so I am Nigerian American, but my great grandpa was actually from Togo, and then my grandpa migrated to Cameroon, and he was born in Cameroon, and then he migrated, and my dad was born in Nigeria. My parents met, and now they're here.
I love the continent. So, how is this, to just note, because how was the movement and the protests in Africa?
Oh my gosh, you know what? It's phenomenal, because people are actually engaging in protests in solidarity with us here in the US, but they're also uplifting the issues that are going on there. For
their own issues, because they're still in their own struggles.
Yeah, people have struggles everywhere. This is not this is not something that's unique, but with the power of technology, they're seeing what's happening and they're saying, this isn't right. We're so deeply saddened that this could go on, and so we want to show the people in the U.S., Black people in the U.S., that we see them, we're with them, and we're saying enough is enough as well. So that's been powerful. But we also have seen the African leaders step up. I don't know if you've heard this, but all 54 countries essentially came together, put out a statement condemning, the violence that Black people are faced with in this country, but also calling on the UN Human Rights Council to hold a special session. Well,
and when would that be? In September, Junior?
Well, there will be some more in the future, so they're doing an ongoing, but they already held it. So the day before Juneteenth, they held the special session.
The 17th?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That was in Geneva?
That was in Geneva.
Well, actually, I did know about this. I think this is amazing, but I hope now they really stick to it.
Right. So what was amazing was that was a historic.
That is historic for all 54 countries?
For all of them to come together.
Big.
It was amazing.
To put everything aside and come together.
And say, enough is enough. We don't want to see our children in the diaspora treated like this. This is enough. So I was moved deeply, deeply moved because we've never seen anything like it.
I mean,
And
we have
that's the
to
connection.
remember-
That's the connection we have already. It's inherent. It's our birthright. But it was amazing to see that these African leaders said the same.
You know, I think also, I mean, for me, I'm so proud to hear that, and thank you for enlightening us all about it. I think that also what people don't realize is in Africa, we know this, we have coronavirus right now, but think about what they've had. They've had so many diseases come year after year after year.
Yeah.
So they don't still have a cure for malaria. They've got dengue. Then Ebola's come back. I mean, on top of this, but there's this list of, and they're just resilient.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt that they dealt with this pandemic in such a positive and forthright way.
Yeah.
And they locked down immediately.
Yes. It's been, we hear those, we know that those diseases are there. There's still these challenges, but it's amazing to see that our folks are very resilient and they're coming up with solutions despite whether or not anybody or any government or company is going to do it.
When you hit Ghana, what do? Machine.
And that's been going on.
And that's been going on, exactly.
It just happened.
It's like, now they're going to do this here. I'm like thinking, that's not new to me.
You're late. It's not new. So I think there are so many great things that are happening, and it's been amazing to see that there are entrepreneurs in the healthcare space who are also engaging and creating new tools and PPE and rapid deployment.
It's seeing kids build like water tanks. I'm like, God bless.
Brilliant.
The creativity.
Yeah, I think
that's come out from the continent and around the world.
Yeah, but out of
But it blesses my heart because we are so much more privileged and have so much at our fingertips than our brothers and sisters do on the continent. And I don't think people know that who hasn't been there, you know?
Yeah, sometimes folks don't really know, but people are so proud and dignified.
Very dignified, very elegant.
Oh my gosh.
And very intelligent.
Oh yeah, brilliant. So
even the taxi driver has a degree.
Yeah.
Thank you, Opal.
Thank you. Oh,
thank you so much.
Appreciate you and your spirit
Thank
and
you.
all that you do and all that you embody. Thank you.
Thank you.